guys, what's up?
Hello, hello.
I'm Kelly, Justice for Solaz Cat Keen.
And I am Dawn. Mucho lies, Glenn.
Oh, you guys. This is going to be an interesting episode.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, I don't really have the use of my right arm right now, and my brain has never registered the fact that I have a left arm. Like, it's just useless. So I haven't been able to do anything with my hair for a while or anything. So I'm like, you know what? I'm probably going to piss a lot of people off. So I'm going to wear a wig and at least make myself feel pretty.
It looks gorgeous.
Piss people off.
Looks
Dawn, what did you think about this episode?
Oh, I have mixed feelings. I have a lot to rant about, but if we ignore the below surface level, it's a nice episode. I like the action in this episode a lot more than any of the others. I like Paz's story. I like stuff that we're getting with Fede. Other stuff, not so much. Which we'll get into. What about you?
I honestly would. Okay, so the first episode's my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, B. Nice to see you. The first episode was my favorite.
Yeah.
Number 2 is probably my second favorite.
Yeah, I agree.
This might be my third. This probably is my third.
Yeah.
There were first of all, and you know I love Paz.
Yes.
She's always a highlight when she's on the screen.
Yeah.
But I couldn't help but be annoyed when she shows up to help Daryl out. Now we later find out that there was a very necessary reason.
Yes.
For being there. He needed her specifically.
Yes.
But it annoyed me at first because oh great, now someone's joining Daryl on his mission and it's not Carol. What the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
The Antonio stuff, I hate the Antonio stuff, and here's the reason why. I'm not a shipper.
Yeah.
So if you give me a couple that's already together, like Justina and Roberto, I'm gonna root for them.
Yeah.
If you give me 2 people that have had a slow burn going on for a long time, then, depending on where I'm at mentally with them, I may ship them. I will never, ever ship something like Antonio. It's just not in my not in my makeup. I don't like romance. It's just a personal thing, we don't know Antonio. I don't care about him. This is a character that I have loved and adored for so many years.
Yeah.
I don't want her with somebody that I don't care about.
Yeah, exactly. It's, so many shows do it where they have a main character get with a random, we'll call them a random, what we mean is somebody who comes in, and the audience never likes it because you care about the characters you've spent all this time with, not these new people. And even the newbies they brought into The Walking Dead season 9, Magna and all of that group, even though they were in it for 3 seasons, people were still like, I don't care about them, they're newbies, and people still care about Rick and Daryl and Michonne, these people that have been in it either from the very start or almost the start. So it's very hard to get an audience to care about a character that's brought in like this, unless of course it's Paz, in which case it was fabulous. But and then to put them with Carol. Now I know there will be fans who enjoy this, fans who just enjoy Carol with somebody who seems to make her happy, and that's absolutely fine. That's people's prerogative. But for a lot of fans, it doesn't work for many reasons. But the main one being what you said: you don't know him. You're not connected to him emotionally.
Right. And I mean, the only characters that I took to immediately in this season were Paz and Justina.
Yeah, agreed. Absolutely.
So yeah, I just and it obviously Carol is not going to be hooking up with one of them.
No. Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope not. That would be very odd.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know, man. But before we jump into it,
Hmm.
I just want to couple of things really quick. I was getting a bunch of hate yesterday on Twitter. I deactivated our Twitter and now I'm like now for some reason it won't. I had to go in there to grab something and now it's not letting me deactivate again. Like I don't know. Everything is acting up. But um I've been getting a lot of hate, or I was getting a lot of hate yesterday about like my attitudes about Carol and Cantonia. Guys, I have never been a true shipper. Like I ship Carol and Daryl because that's what makes sense to me. But like I just want them together on screen.
Yeah.
I really don't care what you ship as long as it's not Bethel.
Yeah. As long as it's not problematic in that sense.
Yeah. As long as it's not problematic, I really don't care who you ship. I don't. This just makes zero sense to me. Um, the other thing is Jazz, who some of you may know if you follow our Severance coverage and our From coverage, our Dexter coverage. Jazz's brother was in a very serious accident. He was on his motorcycle and got hit by a truck. He just got sent home from the hospital, but he's got a really long road ahead of him. He's not going to be able to work for a while. So, if anybody could, I'm going to put the QR code up here. I just lost it. Hang on one second. Where did here we go. So the QR code is there in the middle for the donation link. GoFundMe has changed so much for the better. They used to take a big hefty fee out of their donations. Now when you donate, you can opt to cover the fees that would be taken out of your donation.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, which is awesome. So like, I'm on SSDI, so I can't donate a whole lot, but I donated a little the other day and yeah, I just like it was nothing. I just, I'm like, yeah, take the fees out of my donation. Because it just sucks when you're like trying to raise a bunch of money and then like hundreds of dollars get taken out, for taxes. But so that's why I've avoided it in the past. But yeah, so that's great. So it's as long as everybody does that, then the recipient gets to keep all of the money, which is super cool.
Yeah.
But please donate if you're able to. It would really help them out a lot. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks after a car crash, and it financially wrecked us. If you want, you can even if you want to like ask me for her address to send some food deliveries or something. I can his address. I mean, not Jazz's address, Alex's address. If you want me to, I can arrange that somehow. Just email me at Kelly@Cyborg Queen Media, and I'll try to arrange that safely. But all that aside, we're also something I'm going to talk about when we're done with our coverage here is FanPack, which is the initiative that I've been trying to get going for the longest time. So we'll be talking about that after this. But all that said, John, why don't you jump into the recap?
I just want to say before we do about Cantonio, one thing I want to say about last week I said, I don't ship it, you can't make me. One of the things I would just want to say is I am not somebody who believes that as a fan of Carol, I have to support everything that seemingly makes Carol happy. She's a fictional character. She's not my friend. I can choose not to. She is a fictional character who exists to entertain me. If I'm not entertained, and I realize I'm saying this while making a podcast and ranting, but what I mean is, if I don't care about something, I don't have to. I get really irritated by people saying, well, you're a Carol fan and she's happy, so shouldn't you support that? No, don't have to. Why should I? She's on TV. If a TV show isn't going the way I want it to, then I can choose to pretend that isn't happening. It's my prerogative.
I mean, I shipped for Ezekiel because like I saw her smile around him and I loved that, like I saw how much he cared about her. That's why I shipped them.
Yeah.
Like I don't care. We had a whole season to care about Ezekiel. Plus, he
Yeah.
was one of my favorite characters in comics,
Yeah.
so there was that too. I
Yeah.
don't, but I will never care about Antonio. I'm sorry. He's not supposed to be there.
And you and I are proof that you can disagree and still be friends, because I stopped watching when she got together with Ezekiel. You know, that was my
Yeah.
decision. I was like, this isn't what I want to see, so I'm not going to watch. When she left him,
Yeah.
I came back, and that's, and people can go, oh, that makes you a terrible fan. Okay,
Yeah.
that's what you think. That's fine. You don't have to think I'm a good fan. I don't care. But yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Having said all that, I've read
I'm sorry,
yes,
really
you
quick.
carry on. Yeah.
B left us a comment. We will get to any comments left after the recap, and either before or after the top fives. But sorry, go ahead, John.
That's okay. I wrote myself a note on this recap, and I don't know what it means. So if anybody knows, at the top of the recap, I wrote Maria Jean Camps. Not a clue.
Oh,
If anybody can figure out what I meant, please let me know. So yeah, this is the penultimate episode of the season, and it's called Contrabando. Contraband. I'm not entirely sure. I don't think I understand that title. Anyway, okay. So we start off. Daryl is on the road to Barcelona. He's stopped to have a drink from his hippo flask, and a car pulls up. Thankfully, it's Paz, who has decided she's going to join the fight to get back Justina, and of course her one true love, Elena, or Elena, I should say.
By the way, I'm trying to find our pictures are a little out of order here. I'm trying to.
Oh, that's the no. That's the end. That's the end. That you're going backwards. So
Oh, StreamYard, I love you.
Yes, it's put them all in. I put them all into numerical order for you to make sure. I made sure it was all in the right order. But obviously, StreamYard has just gone. Nope.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Never mind. I'll carry on, and if you can get pictures, if you can't, doesn't matter. So she's going to come with them, and they drive to Barcelona, where they end up at this big fairground, which is really cool, actually. And she sort of points out Barcelona, and Daryl said, "I didn't know it was so big." All right then, Daryl. And she says that they need people to come with them. If they're going to attack El Alcazar, they need people. Daryl keeps saying, of course, still, no, we're fine, we can do it ourselves. But she insists she knows this refugee camp, and she tells him that her and her friend Nerea had gone there, and Nerea had fallen in love with a man there and stayed there, and Paz carried on, which obviously is ringing some bells about Carol and Antonio, but we'll get to that. And Daryl says she kept moving. Hey, there we go. That's the one. And Paz says, yes, she was looking for someone, but she doesn't go on with it. And they leave when there's walkers start waking up. I don't know. There's two walkers in the Ferris wheel, and they're in suits. What's that about?
I don't know. That's so weird. That was very strange. Like I'm guessing. My theory on the lore there is that they were trying to escape, and they maybe like ran to the to this fairground for safety, and then jumped into the Ferris wheel, and then just
died of starvation.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick, let's write an entire series based on that.
Yes.
So we see a whole movie which is in exactly the same place that Daryl and Paz are. This is going back in time, and it's young Roberto being taught to ride his bicycle by his mother and father in this same fairground. Carol and Antonio are watching this on a VCR at the end of Roberto's bed, while Roberto is still unconscious. Daryl, who's on that? Antonio says he lived in Barcelona for 4 years and he wanted to make films. He had a Super 8 that he bought with his communion money, and he says no one understood his love and wanting to make films other than Maria. She was the only one who believed in him. Donna Marga and comes in to see how Roberto is, and Antonio says he was awake earlier, but he couldn't say anything. And Donna, Marga, and Fede comes in to also see how Roberto is, and we know he's there to see if he's woken up and spilled the truth. But Antonio awkwardly puts the TV off when Fede looks at it and sees Maria. Fede asks if Roberto's spoken, but he hasn't, and he asks if Daryl's come back. Then Fede's assistant, whose name I don't know, so I'm just going to call him not Gustavo, because I thought it was at first, but another big tall guy says that he's needed. So Fede goes off, and he goes to the gates of Solaz, where Sergio points out that the 3 missing El Alcazar man are walkers behind in the gates. And Fede realizes that Carol's been lying and Daryl is in fact up to something. So back at Antonio's, we see that the cat, nameless, genderless cat, is eating from a teacup on the table outside. Carol takes it away and walks in on Antonio showering naked outside. I'm going to be talking a lot about that later. Stay tuned. She turns away embarrassed and she says she's looking for a screwdriver for the boat. Antonio apologizes, but he says, hey, the water's still warm if you want to have a shower. Carol finds the screwdriver and leaves, and Antonio realizes the implications, and he's like, no, a shower on your own, and cringes into infinity. Later on at the beach, obviously they've gone to work on the boat. Valentina and Carol are sitting on a rock, and Valentina's testing Carol on using the sextant. And she says, once you've got it, you'll always know who you are. She notices Carol looking back at Antonio and asks, well, have you done it? Have you tasted the wine? And Carol says, you never give up, do you? She gives Carol a Spanish phrase book, and Carol reads from one of the phrases, one poison cures another one, and asks Valentina what that means. Valentina says, well, life, sometimes in life you need to try exciting, dangerous things like alcohol, sex, or love. Dun dun dun, significant. Back in Solaz, Donna Marga is updating Fede on the latest events of the town. She says a lady called Gemma's waters have broken, and Roberto's healing. But she says there's a few hours until Gemma has the baby, so she's going to go back and check on Roberto. Fede quickly says, no, you send someone else. You stay with Gemma. And, excuse me, Donna Marga says, when Fede says, Roberto has to learn, he'd made mistakes, basically he's not going to get preferential treatment. And Donna Marga says, yeah, but you were exactly the same, crazy over some girl who you never told me who it was. And she worries about him and thinks he should have somebody to care for him. He says, no, I've got you, and they hug. And he says he's going to send Donna Lupa to Roberto. And as Donna Marga leaves, he unlocks the drawer and takes out a worn photo of Maria, Antonio's wife, which he caresses lovingly. And that puts things into clarity for us about their friction between the two men. Back on the home video, little Roberto is asking about dragons, and Antonio reassures him they're only outside of the city, and he puts the camera down, joins Maria with Roberto on his knee, and tells him the legend of St. George. While we see Paz and Daryl show up at the refugee camp to lock gates, and it's the same place that this conversation was taking place with little Roberto all those years ago. Antonio says the people in the town fed a dragon an animal a day to keep him outside the walls, and eventually they ran out of animals. So they drew lots to decide on a human sacrifice. The princess was chosen, sadly, and just when she was sure her time had come, St. George arrives with his sword. He kills the dragon, and where the dragon's blood spilled grew a single rose. And that, obviously, we're meant to think of as either Paz or Daryl. Let's preferably think it's Paz. Daryl thinks it's a waste of time here. There's obviously nobody here. It's 13 or 14 years since Paz last visited. But just then, walkers start pressing in on Daryl and Paz. The gates open and they're ushered inside, and a bunch of women are holding bows to them. Thankfully, Paz recognizes one of them is Leah. They embrace, and then we see them walking through the settlement as they explain to Daryl what this place is. They started with a dozen girls from El Alcazar. Some grew up and had families and left, but others keep coming in. Daryl explains why they're there. They want to rescue Justina, and Leah says they don't have the resources to attack. They need to keep a low profile to protect all these girls. Leah takes them to Khalid, who is the husband of Paz's friend Nerea. Although he's pleased to see her, he breaks the bad news that Nerea died a couple of years ago. He asks Paz about Elena, and she says she's never caught up to her. Khalid invites them to stay to eat. Back in Solaz, in the Jeep, Carol and Antonio are driving back to the homestead. Carol is practicing phrases from the phrase book, one of which is that you speak your mind, essentially, and it literally translates as you don't have hairs on your tongue. You may recognise it as Melissa said that at Malaga Comic Con the other week. Antonio tells her the phrase, "I am a watering can," which means you're out of your mind. They enter the house laughing, only to see Donald attending to a very sick Roberto. He's developed a fever. Though the Miga insists tea and cold cloths will help, Carol insists they need medicine. They need aspirin from Fede. Antonio says Fede will never give him it, but Carol says, well, they'll make him try. They leave, and we see that the cat is drinking from Roberto's tea. At Fede's, Carol and Antonio plead their case, but Fede is insistent that Roberto put them all in danger and is not getting any help. He insists he has to ration everything in the town, and Carol asks, well, what's the town going to think when they know what you've been doing? Fede does not appreciate being threatened, and he insists she leave. Antonio says Carol says they are intending to leave very soon, and Antonio says until then she's my guest. After a warning from Fede, they leave. Back at the refugee camp, a young woman is singing, and Leia explains this is Sandra, who we've heard lots about. She was 14 when she was sent to El Alcazar. She wasn't chosen, so she was put to work, and she was treated as a slave. They beat her, and for the first 3 months she was at the camp, she couldn't even speak. She was so traumatized. Daryl asks when the next ofrenda is. Khalid said it's in 2 days, but another woman says they'll be heavily guarded. We'll just do that word. And once they're inside, you have no chance. Leigh says they can't risk being found out for just one girl, but Paz says it's not just one girl. Guillermo is with the ofrenda, and he's the next for the crown. Take him out. No more king, no more ofrenda. The group then obviously decides to do something about it. They're looking at maps to get to Cutet Vea. Apologies for butchering that pronunciation. They have to cross at one point called at La Rieda. Daryl asks, "Is it a river?" And they say, "No, it's something much worse. It's a river of walkers, the insatiable, as they call them, that the city had used to protect themselves. And first of all, they were just herding them, but now they use it as a sort of belt which protects the city. There's one crossing, and it's heavily guarded, and the guards there will fight on the side of El Alcazar. Daryl says, well, we'll just not hit them all at once. In another flashback, we see Daryl is running. We hear Meryl say, "Get out of here." Young Daryl says, "You got to come too." Meryl says, "Go, run, and haul ass, don't look back. Don't you ever look back." We see that the boys are in the trailer, hiding as their dad thrashes and shouts. Meryl says, "Don't you worry about me, I can take it. Daryl, get back here," is the shout from his dad. Daryl wakes up, and he's at the camp, and he sees Paz whittling wood by the fire. Goes and joins her and says he's sorry about her friend Nerea that died. Then he tells her he saw her with Elena, indicating he knows her story. So Paz opens up and tells him hers. She says, well, Elena's a princess now. They met at school as teenagers, and she never dreamed she'd notice me. And when she did, it was magic. They had happy few months after the world turned, and then the very first ofrenda was when Elena was taken, and there was meant to only ever be one. Daryl asks if Paz went after her, and she says Nerea and her were always chasing it, always arriving too late. They were naive. I felt if I stopped, it wouldn't become real, not seeing her again. But if I didn't give up, you wouldn't have to accept it. Daryl finishes, obviously feeling a kinship.
Oh man, that statement hit hard. Like,
yeah.
Like, I'm feeling personally attacked here. Jesus Christ. Sorry.
That's okay. No, I know. I just that I have that when we get the screeners, I watch them all at once, and this scene has been on my mind for many, many, many weeks. Anyway, Paz says she did make it to El Alcazar at one point, but they found her and beat her up and left her for dead on the road. She convinced herself it was better to forget, that it wasn't the same as giving up. Daryl asks, well, what changed? And Paz says, she showed up at Salaz, Elena, out of the blue like a dream, and Daryl smiles with recognition. Paz continues that Roberto's fighting too inspired her, and she knew she should never have given up. Having expressed her own history, she asks Daryl what his is. She says she thinks Daryl's lost someone, someone he couldn't get back. Daryl says, well, I've lost a lot of people. And Paz says, yeah, but they don't all hurt the same. Okay. And so, Antonio is caring for a sick Roberto. Carol has had enough of this. And she gathers a bag and goes outside, noticing that the poor cat is dead. R.I.P. Sola's cat with no name. But she leaves and heads to Freddy's house, where she's breaking into the shutters when she hears voices and hides. Sergio and Gustavo pass, with Sergio telling Gustavo if he needs more medicine for his wife to come and see him. Once the coast is clear, Carol continues to break in. She finds the keys for the cabinet, and upon opening it, finding all of Freddy's treasures, including Justina's necklace. The lights go on, and Donna Marga enters with a shotgun. Carol pleads that Justina loves Roberto, that he caught up to her. Freddy lied. He's been lying for years, and he sent Justina away when she found out. She realizes Donna Marga doesn't understand a word she's saying, so she simplifies it. Freddy much lies. Donna Marga says, no, but a tearful Carol suddenly realizes that Freddy is poisoning Roberto. The cat is dead because it's drunk Roberto's tea. Suddenly, Donna Marga seems to connect and realize that what Carol is saying is true. She grabs medicine, gives it to Carol, who gives her Justina's necklace in return. At the house, sometime later the next morning, presumably, Antonio says Roberto's getting better as Carol is packing food. She says they have to go before Freddy's on to them. Valentina will take them in at the lighthouse. Antonio says, then what? And Carol says, well, when Daryl and Justina get back, we'll get on the boat and go to America. Antonio panics. He can't go. He gets angry when Carol doesn't understand, so she begs him, tell her what it is that Freddy has over you. He says he will show her. In his movie theatre, we see they're watching a movie of protesters. It's the terrorist group ETA, a radical group for Basque independence. He says his mother was Basque and she believed in it, and he did too. So did I for a while. I was working on this documentary. Maria didn't want to do it, but I insisted. And we see Maria in front of the camera, in front of it looks like a courtroom with ETA protesters outside. He says to Maria on the video, this is the moment we change the world. A man comes out of the court and there's booing and cheering, and Maria follows him to his car to try to ask him a question, and just at that, the car explodes. The camera falls to the ground, and we see that Maria is dead, with Antonio tending to her, wailing and crying. he screams that it was all his fault, and he explains to Carol in the present day that Fede found out about this and was going to tell Roberto. He could never tell Roberto how his mother died, and is crying mea culpa, and turned round to see Roberto, who has woken up, found his way there, and has heard all of this. Roberto runs away sobbing while Carol cries, and Antonio goes after him. In Barcelona, the Ofrenda convoy approaches. Justina and comforts another girl in a cage, and the convoy stopped at the checkpoint. One of the soldiers is revealed to be the woman from the camp, who, by the way, I'm completely in love with her hair. I've saved screen caps because I want her haircut. So they have captured the guards from the checkpoint. They have them all tied up and have placed their own people in. She signals to Daryl, who's up on a roof. He signals to Paz. Paz and Leia get into a truck and reverse into the convoy to knock them out. And all hell breaks loose. People start firing, and Daryl and Paz escape out into the fray. Elena and Guillermo are removed from their own car into a bulletproof car, but as they do, Elena spots Daryl in the crowd and realizes what's going on. Daryl goes to the cage holding Justina and tries to break the lock, but he's unable to as the gunfight goes around. Guillermo at that point sees Paz, so he too knows exactly what's going on. Daryl gets the keys from the guard that they've shot, but he still can't get the unlocked. Leia finds a rocket launcher in the Guillermo's car, one of the convoy's cars, and she's about to set it up. Paz begs her not to shoot it because Elena's in that car. So she throws herself at Leia, who, with the movement, accidentally blows up the gate that lets all the walkers in. Leia is shot by Guillermo and taken down by walkers. Sadly, we see she dies. Daryl tries to shoot off the lock, but as the walkers are pressing in, the convoy starting up again, and he holds Justina's hand as they are pulled away from each other. Back at Solaz, Carol is hiding Roberto in the back of her Jeep. She just wants to get out of there. He wants to just get out of there. He doesn't want ever to speak to Antonio. She goes to speak to Antonio and says, he will speak to you eventually. Telling the truth really does set you free. She says, first you survive, then you survive the survival, and then if you're lucky, you get to start living again. Antonio says Gustavo will help him sneak out, and he'll meet them at the lighthouse. But one more thing before you go, for saving Roberto, for caring about him, what I'm trying to say, and he kisses her. Thank you. Carol is stunned for a moment, but she kisses him back and then leaves, visibly flustered. Outside Barcelona, the remnants of the camp group say their goodbyes to Paz and Daryl. Khalid thanks Daryl and makes Paz promise to come back. Paz says to Daryl, you were never going to let go of Justina's hand, were you? Daryl says he thought it might have been his only chance. He asks, so, what's the way to Alcazar? Paz nods and gets in the car. They're not giving off. They're not giving off. They're not giving up. In Solaz, Sergio stops Carol in her Jeep. She says she's leaving town. Fede says, well, we have to inspect the vehicle. His men begin to look inside, and Carol reaches for her gun on alert. Fede doesn't remember her having a solar panel, but Carol explains it's a gift from Antonio. And Fede says, well, that's very generous of him, but it's not his to give, and lifts it up, but they don't spot Roberto. Just then, a voice comes from behind, and it's Antonio saying, can people not leave Solaz? Carol is stunned to see that Antonio is there, that he's standing up to Fede, and he starts to speak to the wider audience that is gathered in the town, that Roberto is awake and he's told me everything. You were poisoning him to cover your lies. Murderers are worse than thieves. Fede, of course, denies it all. And Antonio says, goodbye, Carol. This is none of your concern anymore. They nod to each other, and Carol drives away safely with Roberto still hidden. Then we have a flashback to the ambulance with Antonio's burnt face and dead Maria in it. Antonio begs the paramedic to try again with Maria, but he says, no, there's others to help. And as he leaves, we start to hear screaming and people running. The bodies on the ground reanimate. Maria's hand twitches. Hope turns to terror as Maria sits up a hungry walker. And there we
And
go.
crazy how they all started reanimating at the same time, huh?
I know, yeah.
Oh,
It's like
man.
everything happened on the same day. Wow, what an amazing coincidence.
If, I've never seen such a hilarious, like, set of inconsistencies as the ones with the walkers in this show and the ones and on Dexter with Harry's code.
Oh yes, yeah, his code that changes. Yeah.
It just, yeah, it changes so much.
Yeah.
um,
We've just got to pretend we haven't noticed.
yeah, exactly. But what's funny though is like the most unbelievable thing about walkers is that they would have fresh blood flowing through them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like that makes zero sense.
Oh, there's so many things that make zero sense. As long as they're ahead, they're still going. So, is it in their brain? Is it? Oh, I don't know. Why do
Right?
they eat flesh? Nobody knows. There's no sense. Do they
Oh
poop?
man,
Do walkers poop?
Nobody knows is right.
No.
Um, I am so sorry. By the way, like just a reminder, we are live here, and I just accidentally closed out of my notes.
Okay.
My top 5 and bottoms.
I can fill.
Well, let's start while I'm looking for them. Let's start with our suspenders warden Angel Wings Award.
Okay.
And hopefully I'll find it.
Okay.
Before
If not, I can just go on a free range rant.
all right.
This episode gave me a lot to talk about. Yeah, I can. Part of it is this. Okay, my suspenders award, my LVP is Antonio. Not because he kissed Carol. He is quite entitled to give that a go. Who wouldn't if you knew Carol? It's because of his involvement with a terrorist group.
Yeah.
Now this is obviously going to come up again when I'm talking about my worst, and so I'll try to keep it to Antonio rather than the issue at large. It's the fact that Antonio had this horrible secret which he kept hidden from his own son, understandably so, one might say, but he let Fede have control over him because of it. He
Yeah.
and therefore he wouldn't stand up to the offender. It was fine if it's only affecting you. You know, okay, you then will do whatever Fede tells you because he's got this over you. But because of that, you're letting all these young girls who, and as we learn in this episode, 14-year-old girls being taken and used as slaves, either sex slaves or just actual, physical working slaves. You let all that happen to cover up your secret. That does not a noble man make. I was just thinking today, I was like, oh, I really wish I had that gif of Carol saying to Daryl when in season 1 when Daryl says, or start season 2, no, it's in season 1, when he says, what do you want? And she says, a man of honor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not Antonio right now. Certainly not. He obviously is doing better because, you see him stand up to Fede at the end of this, obviously inspired by Carol, but no, who he is, who he was. It's like Leah in season 11, when we found out that before the apocalypse she was working as a mercenary. There's different rules before and after the apocalypse. All our heroes are killing people after the apocalypse because they have to survive. So the rules of what they do now is completely different to what they were doing before. And in normal life, if you were doing something shitty, like being a mercenary, or in this case, supporting terrorism, then yeah, that doesn't make you a great person. Sorry, Antonio. Eduardo, I think you're a beautiful and fine man, a great actor, and who seems absolutely charming as a person. But Antonio, no.
He would be my runner up,
Mm.
but I am giving my suspenders award to Fede. I know I like I've given it to him so many times already, but he's trying to kill Roberto, and he killed Solon's cat.
He killed the cat. Don't kill the cat.
What the fuck, man?
Yeah.
Oh, Fede, you're a scumbag. You need to die.
And he's lying to his mother. Come on now.
Yeah. Oh God, I can't stand him. I hate him. I hope he. I want to see him just set on fire.
However, he's still the most stylish. He does look really
He
good
is.
in his waistcoat. I do like a waistcoat and a chap.
He should definitely be on the cover of Apocalypse Quarterly.
Yes.
Sure.
Apocalypse Esquire. He should definitely be the cover model.
Yeah. Who gets your angel wings?
My angel wings go to Leah, which may surprise people, or Leia. I'm not sure how you pronounce her name, because here comes a friend that she hasn't seen in 13 years, shows up, and they're like, by the way, you can do this thing, and she runs this refugee camp, cares about all these girls, gives them a safe place, and that's her main concern. When Paz and Daryl are like, hey, we can do something, she's like, I've got to protect these girls. But then she sees the opportunity to take down the whole system, and she goes and does it and gives her life for it. And so, yay for her. She may not have been the smartest, because that wasn't a clever move. But her heart was in the right place, and she died for the cause, in terms of she desperately wanted to help the girls, and I don't know how many girls were, but it looked quite a big place. And as she said, girls had come and gone. So well done to her for being that for these young girls in the apocalypse.
Yeah. My angel wings are going to Carol.
Yay!
Because she discovered that Fede was poisoning Roberto, and she like managed to, and I loved her scene with Jonah Vargas so much.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it was so great. Like Melissa McBride killed every scene she was in this episode.
Yes. I mean, she always does, but yes.
Yeah.
I was thinking, was that the first time she's cried this season?
I think so.
Yeah, hooray!
But I mean, like, when she was so funny when she caught Antonio in the shower, like her awkwardness, and it was just hilarious.
Yeah.
And she was so great, and like she was. This was a great Carol episode for me in general.
Yeah.
But I like that she found out. She not only found out that Roberto was being poisoned, she saved his life, and she ratted out Fede to his mother.
Yes. The greatest power. If you're ever trolled by a guy online, find his mother and tell her. That's the best thing to do. Yes. Carol knew that. Yes.
Well, I mean, it doesn't work for quite everybody.
No, it doesn't, sadly.
One of my former co-hosts' mothers started trolling me. So.
Oh, okay. No, it definitely doesn't work for everybody. But a lot of guys it does.
Before we go into our top and bottom fives, we just had a couple of questions.
Okay.
I'm there with you about romance. I'm not so convinced that Antonio is someone Carol would actually find attractive or interesting. Yeah, me either. I just
they're giving us
a lot for quite a while and was like working closely with him.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Even compared to Ezekiel, as we keep saying, I said this last week, Ezekiel, there was a very obvious reason Carol would be attracted to Ezekiel. He cared so much about his people. He was exuberant about life. He loved life, but Antonio is like this shy, quiet, weak man who has hidden away here what is it she's attracted to other than he's handsome and he's nice.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them around. Maybe not in the apocalypse, but you know.
I mean, he's getting something out of it. I mean, she like, I think he was kind of inspired by her when he stood up to Fede.
Yes. I'm just trying to think if this is the right time to talk about this. I don't mean time, I mean the right spot. If people are not aware of the trope of the manic pixie dream girl, yeah, they have turned Carol into a manic pixie dream middle-aged woman, where the whole point of her plot is, and it very famously, it's the character in 500 Days of Summer, I think it's called, and it's where this staid guy stuck in the mud, caught up in a trap, and this woman comes along who is full of the joys of life, and she teaches him how to live again and takes him out of his doldrums and gives him a joy for life, and he falls in love with her for it. And the point of that is a trope, and a negative trope is that the woman has no sense of herself. She has no story her own, no narrative. It's just about being there for the man, and that's exactly what they've done to Carol this season. And I'm very annoyed about it.
Yeah, no, I can see it. He also said Antonio's a wimp. His kid would have forgiven him about his mom.
Yeah.
Probably less so for not fighting the Ofrenda, so that's just,
Well, exactly. It's not just a moral stance for Roberto, it's personal. And can I just say that they've still not really explained why Roberto and Antonio and Fede were keeping them apart. Like, I saw people speculate online if Fede was having an affair with Maria, that maybe Justina and Roberto are cousins, but that doesn't seem to be it. But that would make more sense.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Yes.
Oops. Also, before we go to our top 5,
where
did my oh shoot, oh yeah, so we have a winner. We got enough content. We got enough comments on on last week's video to do the giveaway. So the winner of the contest was Acacia 7530. So Acacia, let me know. Get in touch with me. Email me at kelly@cyborgqueenmedia.com, and I will give you a choice of virtual prizes. There's like they're all like, you pick a character and you can get like a letter from that character, or a special playlist made for you, like that that's themed around that character, etc. Email me, and then I'll give you the choices of the virtual prizes. And yeah, I'm excited. So if we get enough comments, we need at least 10 comments, and they have to be from at least 5 different people on this video. After the stream is over, then we will do another giveaway. But Acacia, please get in touch with me. And with that, yeah, let's do our top and bottom 5s.
Are we going to do top first or bottom first?
Bottom.
Okay. 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 My number 5 for my bottom things is the fact that Carol and Antonio were parting there for, they don't know when, but not very long, because they're going to meet again at the lighthouse. And Antonio's like, oh, just in case, I just want to thank you and give you a kiss. Meanwhile, when Daryl left, all he got was hot dogs. That the comparison, when not even in a romantic sense, just in a sense of the level of, hey, I'm worried about you, please take care while you're off there, have a hug or whatever.
Yeah. No, I understand. I gotcha.
Yeah.
My number 5, and I'm putting this as a number 5, even though it worked out
Mm.
in a way that made sense. Was that last week we saw Daryl on this solo mission. This week he was on this mission with Paz. This show was supposed to be Carol and Daryl doing stuff together with a bunch of characters we don't care about.
Yeah.
And he's on this mission with Paz, and Carol's getting all smoochy face with Antonio.
Yeah.
Fucking hate it.
They totally could have had it be Daryl, Carol, and Paz. It was important that Paz was on this, but Carol was the one that started the whole thing. She's the one that made Daryl care about this, that care about a friend and all that. But she doesn't get to have that moment of, you know what, Daryl can stay at home. Just leave Daryl home. Carol and Paz could have done this, and it would have been epic.
Although I did Carol got to do some stuff that I thought was pretty cool.
Yes. My number 4 is the shower scene. Now, this is me speaking with my shipper head on, my shipper expert head, self-declared. I've studied shipping TV my whole life, slow burns. I love shipping tropes. I think they're great when you know how to use them. This one makes absolutely no sense. Why is Antonio? I will keep calling him Roberto. Why is Antonio showering outside? Is that the only shower they have? Have they not showered for the apparently 6 weeks they've been there? But several weeks anyway. Has nobody had a shower? Have they all been showering outside? In which case, Carol would have known and Antonio wouldn't have been surprised. What? Did Antonio just decide to have a shower outside for some reason? It makes no sense. It's the kind of writing that annoys the living days out of me, because they have an end point they want to have and they go, oh, we'll just hand wave over how we get there. No, if you're going to have that, make it logical within the story. And I hate I'm sorry, it's a bad one today. I hate when they have somebody in the shower on TV and all they do is plonk a little bit of foam on their head. It's just so rubbish and fake looking. Just give them wet hair. That's all we need to see.
I was so annoyed by that. I was just, because he was standing there for the longest time with this shampoo sitting in his hair, and I'm like, are you gonna rinse that out? Or are you gonna rub that in or rinse that out or something? Please do something.
Like, when you lather up your hair, you don't just have a big lump.
Yeah.
Foam sitting up there. Oh yes, just everything about that scene irritated me, except Melissa McBride's comedy timing. She's brilliant. But yeah, if you're going to have that, that would have been a really good scene to have in episode 2 when Carol wakes up unexpectedly. Everybody thinks she's unconscious. Basically, she wakes up, walks into the courtyard, and there's Antonio having a shower, and she sees him naked, and isn't that awkward? That works fine. But this doesn't work. They just wanted to put it in this episode because this is the romantic. Anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah. What's your number 4?
I was legitimately sad to see the rescue attempt fail. Really made me really sad. Because I was happy to see Justina again, because I really like her. We haven't seen her in a couple episodes, and or much of her at least.
Yeah.
And and I was bummed to see the rescue attempt fail.
It sucks. But it was not overly long. It was unlike the episode 4. But we'll get to that in the good points. My number 3 is the whole St. George thing. Now, somebody online said, I think it's about Paz, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, that makes more sense. However, as a viewer watching it, because we had a lot of focus on Daryl, it makes it seem as if they're comparing Daryl to St. George, and I haven't had enough of his white savior complex already. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I did not know, but I did some research that in Spain, that St. George is the equivalent of St. Valentine. it's the day of romance, April 23rd, St. George's Day, and people give their loves. I think apparently women give men books and men give women a rose, and we have this symbol of the rose of the blood that fell down. But that whole scene irritated me as well because again, it was another example of we want this to happen, so we'll make it happen, and it doesn't matter if there's an explanation. Roberto and Antonio and Maria sitting there while Antonio films it. Who does that in the middle of an open space? Goes, I'll just put my camera, which in 2000 and whatever it was, 10, is going to be probably a camera. Put that down over here, and I'll sit here and tell you the story. It just runs so so fake and so. I like it when it doesn't feel written, that it feels natural, but that's very much a written scene that doesn't naturally happen. It could have, they didn't need Maria sitting there. He could have passed it on to Maria to hold the camera, but they wanted this visual of the family. They wanted Antonio telling Roberto the story, but yeah, this episode really has done my blood pressure low.
The Walking Dead has done that so many times where it's like a character is going to tell a story and you're just like, your eyes roll almost all the way back in the head.
Yeah.
I remember the one that sticks out really, really well for me is it was after the group had first gotten to Alexandria.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Maggie and Deanna kind of got into it a little bit. And she like Maggie kind of like stormed out in a huff, and Reg went after her.
Yeah.
And he was like, Maggie, he called after her. He called like Maggie, and she turns around and he immediately starts going into this story. I'm like, people don't talk like that.
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, the something group. Like
yeah. When it's fake exposition or whatever, and people are just saying we want the audience to know this, but we don't want to do it in a realistic way. And if I was reading fan fiction, I would go, that's not very realistic. Put some effort in. And this is a TV show.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your number 3?
Okay, my number 3 is, I feel like people are going to disagree with me on this because again, like, okay, I love Paz. And everything that happened in this episode that was connected to her, that she was connected to, was kind of necessary. But with all of the repetition in this show, in this universe, like, I don't know how they would have done it differently, but that community just reminded me way too much of Oceanside.
Oh yes, yeah.
It just, I don't know. It was
that's a very good point.
like,
yes.
I wish it was maybe a little bit different than it was. Because I mean, there were some differences, but it just, for the most part, I just felt like it was a repeat, and that's fine every once in a while, but the show does it so often that it's like,
or even if they'd sort of acknowledged it, if Daryl had gone, oh, this reminds me of a place, back home, and awesome strong women there too, kind of, that kind of thing. If you acknowledge it, then it makes it better, because at least then your characters are recognizing that there's something similar. But yeah, I agree with you. I hadn't really thought about that, but now you say that, it's very, very similar. Especially that first scene with them surrounded by the women with the bows and arrows is very like what happened at Oceanside. And it's a similar thing. As soon as here comes Daryl, people are going to die. My number 2 is connecting to that. It's about the scene with Paz and Daryl, which has caused me so many sleepless nights. No, it hasn't really. But I've thought about it a lot. And that is, stop making us guess what Daryl is thinking. Stop having people talk at him and Daryl says nothing. let him verbalize what he's thinking. Like, I'm watching this thinking, are we meant to be thinking about Meryl because we just saw the flashback? Are we meant to be thinking about Laurent? Are we meant to think about Isabel? Which, from what David Zabel said in the behind the scenes stuff afterwards, I think it's meant to be about Isabel. But it also made me think of Carol. When I first saw this scene, as I mentioned on Twitter, I watched the series backwards because I knew that I would enjoy episode 1 far most, so I saved it to last. I've since obviously watched it in the right order. But when I first watched it and I saw that scene where she says, Elena appeared out of the blue like a dream, all I immediately thought of was Carol turning up in France. Yeah, that's what you think, isn't it? And that's what Norman Reedus said. You know, at last year's New York Comic Con, he talked about it, that Carol was the one person he needed in that moment, the one person who could help him. He could, and there she was. It's like a miracle. So my immediate thought is Carol, but it feels like, from what Daryl said in the first episode, when he's talking about seeing Isabel in the tunnel and that she was like a dream and all this, it's like we're meant to think that's about Isabel. And if that's true, then I'm really annoyed because who cares about? I do not want to this entire season to be about Daryl's great love, Isabel, that was not a great love.
Yeah.
So that really annoys me. But yeah, in generally speaking, I want Daryl to verbalize, to go, yes, that reminds me of this, and talk about it. Stop just having him look sad, and we've got to guess what he's feeling sad about.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
You're number
wait,
2?
2. Okay, yeah. Yeah, number 2 was just I didn't mention this already, right? I hope so. My number 2 was just the cat dying.
No, you didn't mention this. No.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank God. I was scared. I was scared that I already said that because I had to kind of improvise because
Yeah.
I lost my notes, but I have them on my phone. They're just not in order.
Yeah.
So yeah, the cat dying. That was my yeah, that's my number 2.
It was I like, we barely knew you. Why didn't we get a name or a gender? Like, Carol asked twice about the cat. She asked in episode 2, and she asked was it last episode? No, this episode when he's in the shower. Why wouldn't they give us a name?
I don't
Or
know.
something?
Let's name it. I'm gonna call it the Whiskertron 2000.
Whiskertron 2008.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long stick on its grave.
Yeah. R.I.P. Whiskertron.
Yeah. It was well acted by what I think the acting cat's name we've learned was Paco, I believe. So
Oh, okay.
well done, Paco, on your great acting at drinking out of a cup. I assume it wasn't Paco that was acting as the dead cat. I assume that was a stand-in, a stunt double.
They just straight up killed Paco at the end. They're like, I don't need this cat anymore.
Oh dear, no, it's probably worth a lot of money if it's an acting cat. You can't be messing with that. Yeah. Okay, so my number 1 is the use of ETA. The whole thing. This is a fictional world. Much of what takes place in it is fictional murder, fictional death, and that's all fine. But when you connect it with something very, very real that people who are alive remember, it really becomes a bit unpleasant, especially when you are using it purely as color and trauma for Antonio. This isn't a real representation of ETA and the issues of Basque independence and the great political history and Franco and Civil War and all this stuff. That's not what this is about. This is entirely about giving Antonio a dirty little secret that Fede had over him. And now, I know there are a lot of people on Twitter that are defending Antonio over this, that he was just documenting it. But this is what I have to say is that A, he says, I believed in the cause. 2, he is there with the Basque protesters at this court or whatever it is. And whoever is coming out is obviously someone against ETA and he gets in the car, and there is obviously a car bomb on his car. They're trying to question him. This is not a case of he was just a journalist covering this. He was there as a Basque supporter. He said, "This is the day we are going to change the world." Whatever, he was not, obviously not a bomber. He wouldn't have been there had he known the bomb was going off. But he was a Basque supporter, and the Basques were terrorists who used car bombs a lot and killed a lot of people. And it, for me, as a British person, it's like often, as has been the case in American media, where they've represented the IRA in a very similar way. When you have lived through the terror of these groups, but who might have placed a bomb in a supermarket, in a shopping mall, in a whatever, it's very difficult to take it as a, oh, that's just a cute thing you can put in a TV show with little, especially now. This episode, I believe, was written by a Spanish writer, or a female Spanish writer, but I just didn't like the use of it as a reason for Antonio's backstory, nor do I like the implications that Carol finds that out and then it's just like, oh, hey, no problem, and kisses him. I don't like that either.
Yeah, that was weird. Okay, I was very confused by that whole thing.
Yeah.
I even had my husband watch it with me. He doesn't watch the show, and he was like, he was confused too. And like, I tried to explain the context. I'm like, I don't understand what he's doing here. But my number one was the fact that he was responsible for his wife dying. And I have a feeling that we're not going to see that observation expressed very much online.
Yeah.
And the reason that bothers me is because I'm a Dexter fan. And even though Dexter is the main character who we're all rooting for, he's not given a lot of grace by the audience. His wife died, and it was his fault. Yeah. He was responsible for it. And so many people could argue, because it was really a combination of, not to get on a non-related tangent here, but just using it as a good example, it was a combination, her death was a combination of his irresponsibility and just a terrible accident, because he put her in a cab, he watched her get in a cab and to the airport where she was going to go to, I forgot where they were going on their honeymoon, and he was going to meet up with her later. You know, he had somebody to kill in the meantime. He had to go kill John Lithgow's character, and he watched her drive away in the taxi. Killed John Lithgow, stopped at home to grab his shit so he could go to the airport, so he could meet her in wherever they were honeymooning. Came home and found her dead, and she died because he was extremely irresponsible. Because she had to stop at home because she forgot her passport, and he was irresponsible. He didn't kill John Lithgow's character soon enough, even though he was getting closer and closer and closer to his family. It was really dangerous, but he felt like he could learn stuff from him, so he wasn't ready to kill him yet. And that's ultimately what led to her death. And everybody blames him for that. And that wasn't even nearly as much Dexter's fault as Antonio's wife dying was his fault. And what's frustrating is I feel that for shipping reasons, I feel like a lot of people don't really see it that way.
No, I think a lot of people are going to excuse him. And even if you take aside the terrorist aspect of it, he says she didn't want to do this. And you see on screen, she says, well, no, I don't think she should be here. And he says, I insisted. That is not nice. That's not, forget about why he was doing it. The fact he said, I don't care that you think this isn't a good thing. I'm telling you we're doing it. I don't want
Yeah.
to be married to a guy that does that. No, get lost. I don't care what it is. And what my biggest problem with this is, somebody replied to one of my tweets, and I'll reply to them later because they said, but it's not that that's not that big of a deal, but they wouldn't be writing Carol to love a terrorist, so we're obviously not meant to see him as a terrorist. And I'm like, I know that's the point. It's how bad the writing is that they can give him all this stuff, yet we're still meant to think he's the good guy, he's the lovely guy. And David Zabel said, or it might be Percival, Daniel Percival, I can't remember, said, oh, this is Carol and Antonio have this simpatico, they have this shared experience, they have a similar thing in their history. No, Carol was nothing like this. She hasn't forced people to do things. She was traumatized by things she had to do and didn't want to do because she had to save other people's lives. That's not what Roberto was doing. Antonio was doing. He was forcing his wife to do something that he believed in, that he knew was risky and unsafe, and he forced her to do it, and she died. Yeah, it's his fault. His fault his wife died, and I wouldn't blame Roberto if he never spoke to him again. And that's the issue, is that it's not written as this traumatic, awful thing that he realizes, I've been a terrible person and I want to turn over a new leaf. He hasn't done that because he's still been letting Freddy control him and still going along with the offender. So right up until the moment Carol has arrives, he is still not a good person. So I don't want Carol to be with a person like that.
That really upsets me, what you said about Zabel saying that they have similar histories.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, if this turns into people bringing up the cave again,
oh,
lose my mind. Because, okay, I am not gonna, that drives me nuts. The fandom response to that was so fucking horrible and tells you what people think about people with mental illness.
Yeah.
Carol was trying to kill herself. She thought everybody was out of the cave. It was a fucking accident. She wanted to die, and she wanted to try to save people while she was doing it. Didn't know anybody else had come back in the cave.
No.
That's very different. If he's thinking of that, if that's what he's thinking in his mind, like, that pisses me off.
I don't even think he's thinking that much. I don't think he's paid that much attention to the main show. It's like, I'm sorry, did you know they've discussed this before?
And also, like, okay, Carol has been treated so horribly in Walking Dead universe. Like, the whole thing with Negan. Okay, letting Negan out.
Yeah,
it was the right choice.
Yes.
And then they treated her like shit because Hilltop burned down. Yeah. Negan's one arrow made all the fucking difference. What was he supposed to do? He had to go along with them.
Yes,
he had no choice. That wasn't anticipated. He shot one arrow. One arrow.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the whole thing, and it's like the whole reason they were in the cave, people blame her for that. That was Daryl that did that. She ran off on her own. Daryl said, "You all go after her."
Yes.
His fault. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh God. All right.
Yeah.
I'm done talking about that.
Yeah, we've expunged ourselves. It's confessional. We're getting it all out. Can I just say my T-shirt is subliminal messaging. Better days are coming. Let's hope.
Oh God.
Okay, let's go on to the positives. Or
Okay.
that was your we're done. We're done negative. Yes. Let's go into the positive. Okay. My number 5 is Sandra. Hooray! We got to see Sandra. I thought that was lovely. That we've heard so much about her. We're pretty much assuming that it was her father that protested, and she was a friend. That although that absolutely now just come to me, that makes no sense, because Elena said, "Oh, this girl called Sandra showed up and talked about her dear friend Paz," and Paz didn't react like she knew Sandra. Sandra was sitting there singing. Very confused.
That's
Um,
funny.
that is funny. But anyway, I'm delighted that we got to see her and that she was singing and she healed from her trauma. Well done, Sandra. I'm glad you escaped. I like you. Hurry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agree. My number 5 is it was kind of cool just to see the we only got a glimpse of it, and honestly, it was really kind of cheesy. It could have been done better, but I liked that we got to see like the start of the outbreak.
Yes.
In
Yeah.
Spain.
Yeah.
It was kind of cool. It could have been much better, but
Yeah.
you know.
I like that they're trying to do that with every country. You know, we saw it in France with Isabel. We saw how and I thought that was all really cool. I'm pretty sure we both said, we really enjoyed that aspect of it. Um, finding out how the outbreak started in every country, and poor Madame Genet stuck in the Louvre. I really liked that as well. I thought that was a great telling of it. So it's nice that we got a little bit of Spain's story as well.
You know what I would love to see? Like I would love to see the outbreak happen somewhere where like on a roller coaster
Yes, yes.
where like and they're kind of all strapped in and they can't
Yeah.
really do anything and then
Wow. Yeah,
but
that
one
would
of
be
them manages to somehow bite the person next to them
yeah.
and
And they're
somehow
like,
like
"Ah,
when the train comes back somehow it's all zombies.
it's all zombies. Yeah, they come down. Yeah, that's brilliant. You should be writing this, definitely. You
I
should
think that would
definitely
be kind of fun.
be the zombie stories.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
um My number 4 is the only tiny glimmer sliver of Carol hope I have from this possibly entire season. Poison to cure another poison. It's a very interesting phrase for them to choose. And we
Yeah.
always have to remember this is written, they have chosen things for a reason. Why that sentence when it comes to Carol becoming romantically involved with Antonio? What's the first poison that she's trying to cure? Is the implication that she's in love with Daryl and she thinks he doesn't love her back? And that kind of was the vibe you got from when just Valentina asked her, and it was Daryl was all the nope. But Carol was the one we saw going, hmm.
Yeah.
So I liked that we got that. I don't know if anything will ever come from it. I don't know where my hopes for Carol lie on a scale of 1 to 10, but I liked that there was something that made me go, oh, hello.
By the way, somebody asked us
Okay.
in the comments of one of our video, and I never got back to them because it's been so hard for me to respond to comments lately because, neither of my
Yeah.
arms worked basically. But somebody asked about why we thought that the original series established that Carol had romantic feelings for Daryl. And I think we both have the same answer.
Carol's dream,
Yeah.
yeah, establishes that she dreams of Daryl as her husband. That
Yeah.
she wanted a different version of her life, where she chose Daryl as the husband and father to Henry, because that is implied in season 9 when she accepts um, Zeke's proposal. She doesn't accept it at first till she's spoken to Daryl. Then she sees him fighting really violently, and then you see her looking at Zeke with Henry, and that's when she says, "No, I will." I think that she was thinking about being with Daryl or with Zeke, and then she thought, "No, Zeke's a better father for Henry." She wanted that family life, and but that in that dream Daryl is who she's. I don't think there's any other way you can take that scene than Carol
Yeah.
dreams of Daryl being her husband. She's wearing a wedding ring. It's their house. He's cooking her breakfast. He gives her money as if they're a married couple.
She was wearing a wedding ring and it was and she hadn't been wearing a wedding
No,
ring
she hadn't.
anymore.
No. Yeah.
She had already given it back to
Yes.
Zeke.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so that's pretty much our answer to that. I think
Yeah.
there might have been one or two other things that came up.
Yeah. I mean, Carol has been the one that was flirtatious with Daryl. Obviously, on top of the bus scene in Seed, and but I think that I would say that's the main one. I'm drawing a blank on the others. Isn't that terrible? But I know there are others.
I mean, there's Melissa referring to them as life partners too.
Yes, she did.
You
She
know?
did say that that's how Carol sees Daryl as what many things, including a life partner. So,
Yeah.
and also, we have the whole look at the flowers episode with Alpha, Ghost Alpha, however you want to call her, hallucination Alpha, who keeps asking Carol what she wants, and Carol never ever says what it is she wants. She says, being alone. No, it's not that. It's not dying. It's something else. And Carol never verbalizes exactly what it is, and she won't tell Daryl what it is, and she says, I can't tell you. That to me, that the implication is that it's Daryl that she wants, and she just can't say it.
Yeah, and Melissa McBride explained to that scene where the walker was coming toward her.
Yeah.
And she was trapped, and somebody asked her like why she decided to fight because she was about to give up. Why she decided to fight, and she said that she did it for love for Daryl.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's kind of why we think that's been established. Yeah. And part of the reason that I hate the idea of them not ending up together is because I don't want it to turn. It's one thing if they retcon that, okay? I'd feel better about it if they retconned that. I don't want Carol to be like, I don't want her to have any kind of unrequited love for somebody.
No, that's sad. Yeah. And having even in this spin-off, the fact that we all thought there was going to be a specific reason. Even as shippers, I thought there's going to be a specific reason she comes to France. And it literally is. She missed him, and it's not home without him. That's not. I'm sorry. I have very, very dear friends that I have, been my best friends for 45 years. I don't feel that about them. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
What did we talk? Was that number 5 on the list?
that was number 4. That was
number 4.
Yeah.
You're number 4. Did I say my number 4?
No, you haven't said your number 4. We got sidetracked.
Okay. Number 4, I was happy to get a Paz heavy episode.
Yay! Yes, we love Paz.
I like Paz.
She's
cool.
We have said since she appeared on screen, we want her as the protagonist of her own series. Love her. Charismatic, enigmatic, all of the matics. She's just fabulous. Just something about her is just really interesting. And I would rather, excuse me, see her story than Daryl's. Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Sorry, not sorry. My number 3 is Fede and Antonio both love the same lady. I kind of like that, although it's very predictable.
Yeah.
I liked that we had this reason that wasn't just sort of posturing or whatever, that Fede had this thing that he was in love with somebody and he didn't get her. Somebody else won her over. And he obviously has felt heartbroken ever since, and it seems to never have been with another woman, which I think makes for an interesting backstory. And I wish we had a lot more of this to find out more from Maria's side of things. Why did she choose Antonio? What did she have a relationship with Fede, or that's what it seems to be from the picture, that they were alone together someplace? But what happened that she chose Antonio? And I just thought that was something that I thought was something interesting in the midst of all this other stuff that I didn't enjoy.
No. My number 4, I loved that they showed. Wait, I'm sorry, 4 or 3?
4.
This is 3. Okay, no, it's 4.
3.
Okay. 3. Okay.
3. Yeah, sorry, 3. Number 3. Sorry.
My number 3 is I actually really liked that. I appreciated when Fede went out to the walker cages. I really appreciated that he was covering up his face and he was so disgusted and he was like, "Let's get out of here. This smells too much." Like he never goes over there.
Yes,
Like
yeah,
he's so not used to the stench because he's privileged and he doesn't
yeah,
bother himself with that shit, you know? I really kinda liked that because it's like it's a different kind of, villainous aspect that you don't
yeah,
really see in a lot of characters, you know?
yeah. That's
Unwilling to get there. It was kind of a very Gregory-ish thing, you know?
yes, yes, it was. Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, but you're totally right. I really liked that we got to see that they didn't. Somebody was paying attention. Sergio in this was paying attention and went, "Hang on a minute, I didn't put those three walkers in there. Where did
Yes.
they come from?" So I appreciated that. I will say about the writing of the show, as much as I'm complaining about it, there are things that they dropped, little things that they're referring to later in the season, which is very, very good. Um, with Maria, that has been really subtly done, and like this with the Walkers, that happened in episode 2, and now we're getting the fruition of it in episode 6. So I think they've done a really good job of those kind of things, of dropping the little clues for what's going to happen. And Fede, writing Fede as they have is yeah, I don't have any problems with how they've written Fede. I think he's a really convincing character of that kind.
Yeah, definitely.
My number 4, or 2, whatever we were going, 5, 4, 3, 2, is that I was struggling which ones to, 1 and 2 sort of swapped around a bit, but I'm going to say number 2 is the scene with Carol and Donna Marga. I really loved that. I love that Carol just babbles and then goes, "You don't understand anything I'm saying," and then just goes, "Okay, Fede, mucho lies." I just love that. I love that she was like panicked and emotional and didn't know how to get it across. And I thought Yasmin, who plays Donna Marga, was very good, not
Yeah.
being able to say anything basically, but just be like, and then have that moment of going, "Oh, okay, yeah, this is all beginning to make sense to me," and connect, and that she had a moment of being heroic and going, "No, take all the medicine," because she loves Justina. That's her granddaughter, and she loves her, and she wants her safe. And if she's realised that, hang on, Freddy's put her in danger, then she's not happy either. So well done, Donna Marga.
Yes, yes, very much so. Um, my number 2 is Antonio getting a pussy at the end. Like, this guy has just been just had his head down and just annoyingly so, never spoke up about anything. And he got a pussy and he called out Fede in front of everybody.
Yes, he lost a pussy and then he gained one.
Yeah. Yeah,
He
exactly.
grew one. Yes, that was great to see him finally stand up, verbalize, and protect Carol too. Go, "No, Carol, you've done your bit. On you go." I liked
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Yeah, he was really great. That was a really great scene for him.
it was.
That whole
Yes,
thing.
it was excellent. Um, my number 1 is Daryl not being able to undo that lock. Hooray! It was so good. I loved that Daryl failed at something and
Yeah.
failed for minutes and minutes and minutes and minutes. That he
Yeah.
tried this, he tried the keys, he tried to blow off, he tried to use his gun. Loved it. Have him fail, yes.
Yeah.
And
I like it
basically
too.
that whole sequence I thought was so good. I felt jeopardy. I was on the edge of my seat. Is he going to get them out the cage? Is he going to get Justina out? Come on, get him out, get her out. And then she's pulled away from him. Love that. That's the kind of action that I could really get behind, because you really care about this, that he desperately wants to save Justina, and that it's on the brink of it, but it's all just falling apart around him, and he just is unable to do it in that moment. So yes, that was fabulous.
Yeah, the action in this episode I think was the best out of the
Yes,
3 action heavy episodes.
I agree.
I mean, and it wasn't like, I'm not just saying that because I'm biased to there being women involved, but it was just like we actually care about Justina, and
Yes.
it was like we wanted this to work out. We wanted this to be a success. And it was like, it was nice seeing, Paz reunite with her old friends and and get them to help out. It was just, I liked this a lot better.
Yeah, and the connection of Elena realizing Daryl and then Guillermo realizing Paz is there, and all of that done without dialogue, but the implications of that, they're realizing what's happening, and it gives it a lot more jeopardy than any of the other action sequences we've seen.
Yeah, definitely.
What's your number one?
My number one is Carol saving the day. Yeah, I just, I mean, I already talked about most of it in my Angel Wings award, but I mean, yeah, she saw the cat, put 2 and 2 together, and she saved Roberto, and that kind of led to, and she exposed Fede to his mother, and which was great.
Yeah. We got to see her sneaking. This is our first sneaky Carol.
Yeah.
Sneaky Carol.
Yeah. And like I said, Melissa McBride was just great this whole episode.
Yeah.
She really was. I really enjoyed Carol. She's been taken, she's taken kind of a backseat in a couple of the episodes. And so I really liked what she got to do in here.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wish we'd had more of Carol doing Carol type things, this was bad.
Yeah. And I wish these missions weren't split up and it was Carol and Daryl together like it was supposed to be. But whatever. I've given up hope on that. So
I don't understand how a TV company that understands what sells when it comes to the promotion. They made this incredible poster that we all love, that went viral, that was a huge number of likes, of Daryl and Carol on the bike together, and yet they're not giving us that in the show. I don't understand that lack of connection. They know that that's what people want to see, but they're like, oh, it's fine if you don't actually put it in the show. And don't think, well, people would be annoyed by that. Yes,
yeah. I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there.
No.
Did you end up watching the panel?
I did indeed. Yes, I watched it live.
I mean, was there anything interesting that came out of it?
The only interesting things are Norman said that they're currently filming episode 6 of 8 in season 4, and that a lot of it is sort of in Daryl's head. It's obviously a very sort of internal, emotionally heavy episode, which could be good. And Scott Gimple did say that the end of season 4 is a conclusion for Carol and Daryl, which implies it's got an end. It's not going to be a cliffhanger, not going to be, something of them, that it is a conclusion. So those are kind of, that's really the rest of it. There was a lot of talk from Greg and Daryl about zombies.
Why does that sound to me like they're both going to die?
I don't think so. I don't think they're both going to die. I think whatever AMC is doing, they desperately want to get this reunion going because they know that's what the majority of fans want. If you see any comments, all people care about is when Rick and Daryl are going to reunite. So I think they're going to keep them both alive for that. So I don't think they're going to die. I just think we'll at least get some kind of resolution. I don't know. And that was the other thing. There was you said about that they sort of are rectifying things from their past in season 4. So
interesting. Okay. Yeah. I would like that.
Yes, I would too. I'm hoping if this what Norman was saying about episode 6, I would really hope that it's an episode of Daryl and Carol, just the two of them, talking through everything they've gone through and all their experiences and all their grievances and love and whatever. As I always say, romantic or not, I still want that kind of thing.
Yeah,
that would be nice.
The finale's next week.
Yes, it is.
And I am not gonna lie, I'm kind of glad.
It's been hard.
But after that's over, we're gonna jump into Buffy.
Yay! Yes.
Yeah, Dawn and Jazz and I are gonna start doing a retrospective coverage of Buffy, starting with season 1. So we're not gonna do like a straight through cover all of Buffy. We're gonna do it the way we've been doing it, like a season of this show, a season of that show, a season of the show. The goal is to ultimately have one current show and one retrospective season that we're covering. So Welcome to Derry starts in a couple of weeks. So we're going to start covering that. And Buffy, those are our 2 next ones. We are also working on a couple of deep dives, but for the most part, we're going to try to get content to you guys every Wednesday, Friday, and Sunday regularly. Dawn, where can people find you?
You can find me on the bad place Twitter at Dawn Glen 2. We are hoping to do an episode where we talk about all the Carol with the Y issues, romantic stuff. So if you want anything specifically, to ask us about that, then maybe we can answer it. Or if you just want to ask me questions, that's fine. I'll answer them on Twitter. But I'm also on Instagram under Ikkleosu, Ikkleosu, and that is also where I am on other places. Just put in my name, you'll find me.
You can also find me on the Antler Queens podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. We also put all of our episodes on the channel with video. So you can also find me on social media. We are at sometimes we have a Twitter account, sometimes we don't. It's such a toilet. But you can always find us on Instagram or like we're every other social media platform. We're basically at Cyborg Queen Media. If you happen to be somebody who is involved in fandoms of any kind, it could be something that we don't cover. It could be anime, like K-pop, whatever. Taylor Swift, I don't care. If you are somebody who's heavily involved in online fandoms and you would like to build a community with people who are working toward making online fandom spaces safer for not only marginalized people, but everybody in general and for kids too. Please get in touch with me, Kelly at Cyber Queen Media. This is all what our initiative fan pack is working toward. And we have some great ideas. We're going to be doing some fan pack videos, and I'm really excited to finally get this off the ground because I have big goals. And I've got some organizations that I'm hoping to partner with and all that fun stuff. So, yeah, if you're somebody who likes to that has a lot of initiative and likes to organize, please get in touch with me because I could really use you. John, do you want to add anything before we head out?
No, let's just all, as I said on Twitter, let's all just hold hands and deep breaths, and we'll get through this season.
Yes. Yes, please. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week for the last time for a while. Bye, y'all.
Bye.